Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
It's difficult at times to determine when you are using analysis and some of the sort of symbols of the craft, like we've been talking about, their use on a day-to-day basis. It's difficult at times to tell when you are analyzing as a surrogate for action. We as men tend to get wrapped around the axle when it comes to trying to find creative ways that are the wrong work, for lack of a better way to say it. The difference is, when you are trying to avoid doing work, it is often the case that you will sit down and think about doing the work instead of doing the work, or you will do things that are productively unproductive. So you'll do other work. Let's say need to sit down and write a paper for, or write a summary for something at the office. And rather than sit down and write that summary, you go and you upgrade the light bulbs in your house to something else. Or you chase this sort of causal chain of things that are quasi-related that feels productive but isn't. So it's easy to get wrapped into that stuff and find yourself stuck doing things that feel really productive but are really just avoidance with extra steps. So how can you tell when you're doing that? The easiest way is, to be honest, is to just start the work. And it's tough to do that because if you could just do it easily, you would have done it already. So what the sort of popular science recommendations are, you look at some of the books out there, is to break the obstacle you're trying to face down, or the work you're trying to face down, into the absolute smallest possible steps, micro steps if need be. And so the example might be, if you were trying to write that paper, might be go sit in front of your computer and open your word processing app or program. That kind of micro stepping is more productive in many cases than the reflective analysis work. Now, that said, reflective analysis is really important, and it's a big part of the content of the channel here, or the podcast, is to create those opportunities for you to dig deep into systemic issues, systemic behavioral issues that you may have, that the symbols can help you kind of figure out. So knowing when you're doing procrastination or avoidance versus when you've got a system that feels out of control or confusing is oftentimes difficult. And again, the litmus test, the way to figure that out at this point is to try and start the task at hand with the smallest possible sort of action that you can take to move that conversation or that activity or whatever forward. As you do this, you'll find you'll get a better sensitivity for when you are avoiding versus when you are in need of further analysis. And so even if you don't necessarily resolve the avoidant behavior right away, just label it. Hey, I think I'm avoiding doing this. Or, hey, I think I am going and having this snack instead of working because I know I like snacks and I know I don't want to do this work. 90% of the time, as an aside, once you start the work, it actually goes smoothly. So let that sort of initiation, that starting activation energy that you have or that you need to summon, make it smaller by essentially breaking the stuff down into smaller steps. And then again, cultivate that awareness of when you're avoiding versus when you are productively unproductive, or vice versa. And I think you'll find that It lets you use the higher order cognitive tools of the Masonic symbols for the deeper work. And then the regular sort of day-to-day activity, you just develop, again, some better working habits and some sort of proper labeling of your activity. See you next time.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.